Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to Unparalleled Universe for another action figure discussion video. And today what we're doing is taking a look at this brand new Marvel Legends X-Men Lovers Triangle 3-pack featuring Wolverine, Jean Grey, and Cyclops. And this video is not going to be like my typical review. I'm not going to go crazy in depth into each one of these figures because I think for the most part people already know what to expect out of this 3-pack. But what I will be doing in this video is highlighting the differences between the figures in this 3-pack and the ones that Hasbro has previously released, because as you know, they've already put out a Cyclops figure, they've already put out a Jean Grey figure, and they already put out a Wolverine figure. And these new ones are basically just repaints of these old ones with some added accessories. But there's a lot of cool things going on here, and there's a lot more differences with these new figures than I expected. So I wanted to talk about them, and hopefully it helps you decide whether this 3-pack is worth getting. So let's get into it. Okay, so let's go ahead and start this off with Cyclops. And the first big obvious difference between these two figures is the bomber jacket. And I've always been a big fan of the bomber jacket look for Cyclops. I always like when characters put on like casual or civilian clothing on over their uniforms. I always think that's cool. And it looks like we have a mashup of parts from Old Man Logan and from Multiple Men. As you can see, the jacket is exactly the same as Old Man Logan's. And I'm surprised that they decided to use different arms, because then they lost the double jointed elbow. As you can see, Old Man Logan has double jointed elbows and Cyclops does not. He uses the same arms as Multiple Men, and I think they're pretty good. They're definitely better than arms that they put on figures that have jackets in the past. So it's definitely an improvement of what they've done over the years, but I'm a little surprised that they didn't just go ahead and give us the Old Man Logan so that we had double jointed elbows. But now that I think about it, if you look at the range that Old Man Logan gets, it's not much more than what Cyclops gets. So maybe they figured the aesthetic sacrifice wouldn't have been worth it to get that little bit more range on the elbow. So, and that makes sense to me. I think I'm okay with that. I do think these arms do look a little bit better than Old Man Logan's, and they pretty much get the same range. So maybe that's why they did that. And then aside from the jacket, the other big difference between these two figures is the uniform. As you can see on the Warlock version of Cyclops, he has a bright blue uniform. The straps, the gloves, and the boots are like an orange color, and then on the 3-pack version we have a darker blue uniform, and then the boots, straps, and gloves are a bright yellow. And I think I like that a lot more because that feels more accurate to the animated series. And we could all say that these are comic inspired figures, but they're definitely taking inspiration from the animated series, and I feel like that's the audience that they're trying to capture when they make releases like this. So with that in mind, I feel like they achieved it better with this version of Cyclops. But there's nothing wrong with this one. And to be honest with you, even though I like the new one, the new color scheme a lot better, I never felt like this one was off or looked bad or anything. It just, to me it was like a pretty much perfect Jim Lee Cyclops. I didn't really realize that I would like it better if it had the brighter yellow and darker blue. So I'm glad that that's what they went with this time. And also it just adds a little bit more to the figure to make it feel even more different, and really doesn't make you feel like you're buying the exact same figure twice. Other than that, there's a couple of small subtle paint detail differences between these two figures that I was surprised to see. And the one big one here is around the X, you can see that it's gold on this figure. Over here is just yellow, and then the visor itself is gold. Over here is just yellow. So that's not a good or a bad thing, but that's just something that I noticed, and I think it would have made sense if the buckle thing here was gold, but I do like the fact that the visor is yellow, so that all works. And then aside from that, these two figures are basically exactly the same. They both use the Bucky cap body except for the arms on the new version. But yeah, I think they're both good figures, and they both capture different looks for Cyclops pretty much perfectly. And another big difference here is that the Warlock version came with no accessories. He came with a Build-A-Figure piece to build Warlock from the New Mutants, and that's really cool and everything, but I love the fact that this new version came with some accessories. First off, he has an alternate left hand so that you could put it up to his head and put him in that like laser shot pose. And the 3-pack Cyclops comes with 3 different heads. The first one is your standard Cyclops head with the visor, the hair coming out of the top, and then the blue mask wrapping around the back of the head. And it's basically the exact same thing as the previous version of Cyclops. The sculpt is exactly the same, but the colors are different. Even the skin tone looks different, so that's pretty cool. It's a bit of a change, but they both look good. The sculpt is definitely there, but it was there the first time around, so no big surprise here. But the cool thing that he does come with is a couple of unmasked heads, and this is the first one here, and I do like this one a lot. And you know what? It kind of looks like Morph, doesn't it, from the animated series? Looks more like Morph than it does Cyclops. But anyways, it does look cool. I do like the glasses, and they're these like square type of glasses. The alternate head is this one here, which looks really good too, and it has round glasses. And this one actually looks like maybe a younger version of Cyclops. Maybe that's what they were going for. But either way, I think both alternate heads look really, really nice. and they both fit right onto the body. And yeah, look at that. He's definitely younger there with his cool guy glasses. Even though the Warlock version did not come with those, you could definitely pop those onto his body. Let's take a look at that real quick. Boom, look at that. That looks really good. So you could have an unmasked version on both of these figures if you'd like. So I think that's a really cool option. As far as which one I like better, I think both figures are really good and they both capture a certain version of Cyclops, but I do like the 3-pack version better. It just doesn't necessarily replace my Warlock version, because if I want to get classic X-Men shots, I can't really have Cyclops in the jacket all the time. I'm going to need a version without it. So I'm very happy to still have the Warlock version. I think it would have been great if this new version came with interchangeable arms. If that was the case, the Warlock version would have probably been thrown in a bin and never looked at again. And next up we have Jean Grey, and I was really surprised by the amount of differences in these two figures, because originally I thought this new one was basically just going to be a repaint of the old one with a different head, but that's definitely not the case. There's a lot more going on here than I initially expected, so I'm happy to see that, because I was never a big fan of this Jean Grey figure. Obviously I kept her around because she's an essential X-Men character, but I never was crazy about this figure. I pretty much just put her on the shelf next to Scott, and that's it. So with that said, this new one is a huge improvement. I love the colors. It has the more accurate orange and dark blue versus the lighter yellowish orange over here, and then the weird chrome blue. And the chrome blue sometimes looks cool, but in this case it's all swirly and crazy, as you can see right in here. It doesn't look very good. And just in general, I think this new one just looks so much better. And I thought they were going to use the same body, but it looks like they used a different body than the old version for sure. I don't think it's a new body. I'm sure it's one that we've seen before, but it's definitely different and better than the old one. And you could especially tell that in the hip area, because I hate these hips that are on this old version, man. These things are ridiculous. These new hips are way better. You get way more movement, way more range. It's easier to move her legs around. Sorry for this awkward posing, but yeah, this is these new hips are way better than the old ones, and just the general look is just so much better on this new version. As far as the details go, they're pretty much similar on both figures. You can see on the shoulder pads on the old ones there's some lines. On the shoulder pads on the new one, it's just pretty much smooth. And I mean, the new one has this little block on her arm, the old one does not. And then for the legs, you could see that this little gold piece is way better done on the new version. It doesn't just look like this puffy thing popping out of the side of her leg. So that's awesome. And yeah, you know, not too much when you get into the details, but overall the new one looks so much better. And as far as accessories go, she does come with 2 different heads, and Jean's head sculpts are completely new. As you could see, this new one is so much better than the old one, man. The old one sucks. And I don't think this new one is perfect. I think the mouth area kind of looks a little bit weird, but for the most part I think it's pretty well done. I love the hair on this thing. I love that red hair. That looks really dope on her. And then for her alternate head, we have the animated series version, I guess. I mean, I'm sure she rocked this in the comics a couple times, but it's mostly known from the animated series. And that's the ponytail look with the red hair again. Again here, the face isn't quite perfect. I mean, it's not bad, but something looks off about it. I don't know what it is. It's hard to tell. But I think in general, it's an improvement over the previous version. I think both of these heads are a vast improvement over the original head that the Jean Grey figure came with. Let's take a look here, all 3 together. But yeah, I think the new ones are definitely better than the old one. I'd say I probably like this the best, this second best, and then this is basura. And aside from that, there's really not much differences that I could point out, but I just like this new one so much better. I like the more accurate colors, and the body they used is a lot better than this old outdated body on the original Jean. I've always appreciated Hasbro for giving us this version of Jean Grey, because this is one I don't think Toy Biz ever got around to. So it was really nice that they did it, but it just wasn't that good of a figure. But this new one, on the other hand, is a really nice figure, and I'm very happy to have it. She does have the same problems that a lot of Hasbro female figures have, but you know, it just is what it is at this point. They're never going to put double jointed elbows, and we have to accept that, I guess. But you know, for what it is, this is a really cool figure, and she does have some pretty good posability. Let's go ahead and pose her up. And that's one thing I was never crazy about when it comes to this old Jean. The legs are weak. They always felt like they were going to fall over without her leaning on Cyclops or something. So let's set her to the side, because it's going to drive me crazy trying to stand her up. But yeah, the posability on this new one is pretty nice. You could get her legs way up. She has that torso joint there. And yeah, you know, you could get her in way better poses, and her legs feel a lot more sturdy. It doesn't feel like they're going to warp over time. So yeah, I like this new one a lot. I think they did a pretty good job with it, even though it's not like it's much of a difference. But the little differences that they did make really take this figure a long way, and I think they did a really good job with this. So I really feel like this is the Jean that we deserve, and I'm happy that they re-released this character so that people could go out and get it, because this old sorry one has become pretty rare and it's pretty expensive. Maybe not anymore because this new one's coming out, but yeah, I was never a big fan of this. Dang, and I just realized she had brown. I mean, her hair is more brown than red. That's whack. Jean has to have crazy red hair. But anyways, this is definitely a situation where this new one completely destroys the old one, and now this Jean is just gonna have to sit in the bin forever, or maybe in the back of my X-Men display with this old Cyclops or something. Not too sure what I'm gonna do with her. You know, I kind of want to display both of those Cyclops figures, so maybe I'll keep this Jean around just to hang around with him, but this new one completely destroys it. And last but not least, we have Wolverine, and the big obvious difference between these two figures is the color. As you can see, the Apocalypse Wave version has more of an orange, maybe like a mustard yellow type of look, and the 3-pack version has that iconic bright yellow that we're used to seeing from the animated series. But I still like the way that the Apocalypse Wave version looks, especially next to this Cyclops, because they match very, very well, especially with Cyclops having these orange straps. I think he looks really good next to this Wolverine, so they'll probably hang out on the shelf forever. And there are a few other differences I see besides the yellows, like the blues on the figures definitely look different. You can see that the shoulder pads look a little bit more metallic on the Apocalypse Wave version, and the blues are just a little bit brighter. And I think the bright blues and metallic shoulder pads would have looked awesome with this yellow uniform, but still, I think that it was a good decision to make the paint darker on this new one. I just wish they added some of that metallic look on there. I think that would have looked incredible. But yeah, both of these figures are really, really nice. One other difference that I noticed was that on the new Wolverine, they actually tried to give him some like hair paint detail on the arms, you could say, because on this one here, it's basically just the same color all the way around. It's the flesh color, but you see some hair sculpted on there. But on this version, there's hair sculpted on there, but it's not the same flesh color all the way around. So you can see that it's a little bit lighter on the underarms, and then it's darker on the outside. So it's not like perfectly done or anything, but I do appreciate that they did try to add some texture and color to the hair. And as far as the accessories go, man, this new version comes with all kinds of cool stuff. The old version does have one thing over the new one, and that would be fists that have retracted claws. I think that's cool, and it kind of sucks that the new version did not come with that. But aside from that, the new version just destroys it when it comes to accessories. He comes with all kinds of cool stuff, including 3 different heads, and the first one is exactly the same thing as the previous Wolverine head, except for the colors are different. But this head sculpt is nice. I know a lot of people have a problem with the ears being so far back or being so flat, and they'd like them like that. You know, I think this would have been a good opportunity to fix that, but they didn't. But he did come with a bunch of other cool heads. So first off, we have this one here, and this is like a battle damaged, screaming, crazy Wolverine. And this one is pretty good too. Mine did have a couple of paint imperfections, but I touched it up and now we're good to go. But I do like this head sculpt a lot. Look at the hair poking out at the top there, and then his ears all tore up. Looks like him and Sabretooth just went at it. Look at that. That is really, really cool. And then for the third head, we have an unmasked head. And I'll be honest with you, the unmasked head isn't the greatest thing ever. It has a really awkward facial expression, but I love the fact that they included the hood down accessory. Let me bring that up here. Boom, there we go. Got the hood down. Got the unmasked head on there. And overall, I do think it looks pretty cool, even though I'm not a huge fan of this facial expression. I don't know what they were thinking with that. But it is growing on me. At first, I was like, oh man, that's ugly. But I do like the way that the figure looks when he has it on there. Man, I don't know why they can't get like Logan head sculpts right. They did it pretty much. The best head sculpt I've seen Hasbro do is the patch head sculpt, and it has an eye patch on it. So why don't they just do that without the eye patch? That'd be dope. But anyways, this is what we have, and it's not horrible, but it definitely could have been better. And one last real cool thing about this Wolverine figure is that he comes with bone claws. Check these things out. These are awesome. And this might be the first time that I've ever seen bone claws on a Wolverine figure in 6-inch form. So this is a real nice touch, and just another thing to add like something different to this Wolverine figure. So I'm really happy that they included these. In the accessories department, the old one doesn't really stand a chance, and I think just in general, this new version kind of makes the old one obsolete. I really don't have much use for this one other than hanging out with this Cyclops because they kind of match. I feel like this new one is better in every way. Obviously, they both share the same body, same articulation, all that good stuff, but I've always been a big fan of the articulation on this figure to begin with, so I am happy with it in general. But yeah, I just really love this bright yellow yellow. I love all the accessories that he comes with, and yeah, I don't know what I'm gonna do with this old one, man. I kind of feel bad because I love this figure so much, but this new one I think is just my definitive end all be all Wolverine for now until the Mafex one comes out. Then I'll have to do a comparison, but I think he might hold his own against the Mafex one. We'll see. But yeah, that's right, I said it. I love this thing, and I think that he's gonna be probably like one of the best Wolverine figures around. So it's really good. Nothing wrong with this old one, but this new one just kind of makes it feel useless a little bit. So at the end of the day, if the question is, should you buy this new 3-pack if you already own the previously released versions of these characters, I would say that the answer is yes. And the main reason why is because of Jean Grey. And let me tell you why I say that. So for example, with Wolverine, I always thought that the Apocalypse Wave version of Wolverine was a damn near perfect figure in my opinion. I love that thing. I love the way that the figure looks. I love the articulation. He doesn't come with that many accessories, but he does come with the essential things, which are claws popped out and then retracted claws. So that's a really good figure. I never felt like the need to have another Wolverine figure from Hasbro. Even though I'm down for all the Wolverines that they want to give us, I didn't really feel like I needed another Jim Lee inspired Wolverine from them. But with that said, I do think that the one from the 3-pack is way better, mostly because of the color and all the cool accessories that he comes with. Other than that, it's basically the same figure. But I didn't really feel like it was necessary. I was perfectly happy with the Apocalypse Wave version. So I would have been okay with not getting another version of this Wolverine from Hasbro. I would have been fine with the Apocalypse one forever. And then when it comes to Cyclops, you know, the jacket look is awesome and it's one of my favorite looks for Scott Summers, but again, I don't feel like it's a look that's really necessary. The necessary look for a Jim Lee Cyclops is the one from the Warlock wave, so he's the essential one. Even though I feel like the colors aren't as cool as they are on the 3-pack version, he's the one that you have to have in your collection if you're a big X-Men fan. You need that Jim Lee looking Cyclops. The one with the jacket, even though it's cool, isn't really necessary. I would like to see Hasbro give us a version of Cyclops that matches those colors as far as the costume goes, you know, those dark blues and bright yellows. I think that would be awesome, and that would definitely replace my Warlock version of Cyclops. But for now, he's staying in the collection. But the same thing cannot really be said for Jean Grey. I think that's where this 3-pack really shines, because they killed it with this new Jean Grey and they just made the old one obsolete. I don't need it. And you know, that figure goes for a lot of money these days, and it sucks because it's not a very good figure. So I feel bad for anybody that went out and paid a bunch of money for it and then received that, you know. But I really think they made up for it with this new one, because it's such a huge improvement. Even though I feel like they didn't do all that much to it, they did some little things that greatly improved the quality of the figure, and I'm just really happy to have it. So if you want to buy this 3-pack, I think the main draw here is a new Jean Grey figure. And if you get the new, you know, if you're gonna go out and buy this 3-pack and end up with the cool new Jean Grey, you might as well get a better Wolverine and then a cool variant for Cyclops. So that's where I'm at with it. Overall, I'm very happy to have this new 3-pack. It's, you know, for the most part, with the exception of Cyclops, you know, this 3-pack is going to replace the previous versions that I have of these characters. So it is what it is, but I'm always going to love that Apocalypse Wave Wolverine. It's going to hold a special place in my heart because of the way that I found it. You've probably heard the story if you watch the channel. I looked all over Comic-Con for it one day, couldn't find it. One dude was selling it for like 45 bucks at one point. I didn't want to pay that much. And then I left Comic-Con, stopped at a Walgreens, found it there for 20 bucks, and I was a happy little boy. But anyways, now this new one replaces it, and man, I just feel like Hasbro has just killed it with Wolverine, and I can't wait to compare him to the Mafex one. I think that's going to be a really cool matchup. Anyways, I think that's it. Thank you so much for watching. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and all that good stuff, and thank you very much. Peace.
That's crispy.
Since I've been crazy busy lately, I haven't been able to put together a full review of the X Factor 2-pack. I did record one, but I wasn't able to use it because it was when I was trying to figure out my camera, messing with the settings, and just trying to figure stuff out. So I wasn't able to use it. I probably could have done something with it, but I'm an idiot. I was getting frustrated, so I just kind of got rid of it and forgot about it for a little bit. But I do want to talk about these figures because I like them a lot. I just didn't want to do a whole nother review because I don't feel like there's enough new things going on here, you know, to make a whole video about. So I thought I'd throw them in here, but let's go ahead and talk about them real quick. First off, Havoc is a really nice figure. Even though he's basically just a Bucky Cap body with a new jacket, new arms, and a new head, he's still a really nice figure. I really love this look for Havoc. It was my favorite, even though it's goofy and straight up 90s extreme X-Men stuff. And I just love it because back in the day I had the 5-inch Havoc from Toy Biz and I like that figure a lot. So I'm really happy that they gave us this and it's very well done. Let me talk about the gripes real quick. The only thing I really don't like about the figure is the fact that he doesn't come with any kind of wristbands. So his arms look a little awkward. They go straight from flesh to hands, you know, they look funny. I wish he came with some wristbands. He would have looked a lot better. Other than that, there's some paint imperfections, but nothing major. The face has some sloppiness, but that's about it. And then of course he has these stupid sliding things just like his brother. But other than that, I'm really happy with this figure. And you know, I don't think we need to talk about articulation. I'm sure that you are well aware of the articulation setup on this body. One thing I will mention is that the articulation is a little hindered because of the jacket, but you are able to open it up and then you could get some pretty good bend out of it and it still looks kind of cool, so that works. But yeah, this is a really nice figure. I do wish that he came with some more accessories. All he came with is these stupid things that, you know, we're all tired of seeing these, and they could have just got creative with it, took these bubbles off and just gave us these round pieces and it would have been a perfect accessory for Havoc. But no, they gave us these things, which I guess is better than nothing, but I really wish they'd figure something out and give us something new. But yeah, awesome figure. I really like it. Same goes for Polaris. I think she's a really nice figure, even though, you know, she has a lot of the same flaws as other female figures from Hasbro. She's a really nice figure, definitely captures the look of the character. I love the hair, the green looks incredible. I think for the most part, it's all reuse except for the upper body because there's a little like zipper thing here. The X logo looks really nice too, but she does have some ugly paint right up in there. But for the most part, it's a really nice figure. She does have these loose pieces too, but they fit pretty tight onto her, so you don't have to worry about them falling, but you can remove them if you would like. But yeah, I like this figure. I think that both of these guys look incredible next to the other X Factor figures that we already have so far, and I just can't wait to get Strong Guy, and these two figures make me even more excited about Strong Guy. And hopefully one day they give us like Random. How cool would Random be? I want to say Wolfsbane. I think she was on X Factor. I always forget. I get her and Feral mixed up. I don't know. Anyways, the Wolf Girl, she'd be awesome. Anyways, that's enough of that.